We're officially rolling now, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna butcher your name. My last name's Unchenair, so I apologize. I can appreciate having a really hard name.
Smith.
It's
gonna be a long day.
This one's gonna be a fun one, ladies and gentlemen.
It's Kazmierczak.
Kazmierczak.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I was going pretty close.
I wasn't.
Kazmierczak. Well, I listened to you on Born Again, and I remember that
was a great podcast.
That was.
I love those guys. They're good people, man.
And it's all something I was doing my homework. But yeah, so AJ's in the house with us. And I'm excited to have you, man. This will be high energy. You brought some sweet stuff with you.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Dude, I'm excited. So we got some cold brew for Jennings Java.
Yeah.
Jennings Java.
So Jennings Java, which...
And then Nocterra Brewery there in Powell.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Powell?
right out of Powell. And so Nocterra Brewing is that's the day job that pays the bills, pays the insurance, all that good stuff. Jennings Java is the passion project that my business partner Daniel and I started back in 2016 at Muskingum University.
You went to Muskingum?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
My wife's a graduate.
Hey, long magenta line. That's part of the reason why the can label is magenta.
Okay.
When you're in school, everyone talks about the long magenta line and how everyone knows someone from Muskingum, which doesn't make any sense because
that's wild, ain't it?
in the whole college there's like 400 plus people. Maybe a little bit more than that. Yeah, definitely a little more than that. Graduating class was maybe 400 plus people.
Uphill both ways, baby.
It is.
It was. Now they're soft.
Yeah. But yeah, and so cool. It is true. Everyone knows someone that went to Muskingum, which is crazy. But yeah, I brought some black cold brew, some vanilla oat latte because you said you like the foo-foo coffee.
I do like the foo-foo coffee.
And yeah,
I just realized this.
That's one of the coolest features about it. So the can label has a canned by and then a silhouette of my beard and a silhouette of my business partner's mustache. And that was an afterthought. That's awesome. We had the whole can label done. Our graphic designer had it all done. There was this big glaring open spot. And he said, hang on, I've been working on something. We said, okay. And he throws that in there. We made some tweaks and refined it a little bit. And that's what we came up with. And people go crazy for it.
That's sweet, man.
It is.
They want to know who canned it and stuff like that. And I think it's hilarious. It's awesome, but I think it's hilarious because it's the same recipe.
Yeah.
Daniel and I are both using the exact same recipe, but it is cool to see.
They know. Like, you touched it.
Yeah.
Can we crack one of these open?
Yeah.
Go for it, man.
Yeah.
Which one? Does anyone else have one?
Well, I was going to say, I'll drink one.
I'm going to save mine for after. Like I told you, I'm a...
Well, I brought extra, too.
Yeah,
so.
tomorrow morning, it'll be on my desk.
All right.
After 10:30, I can't drink coffee. I'll be wired up all day.
Oh. You going the black cold brew? I'll do the vanilla.
Did you get that real close?
Yeah. Here we go. Hang on.
Got it all over the mic.
So
party foul.
So that's the other aspect to it is we always let people know.
It's highball.
We always let people know to crack it away from you because of the fact that we still hand can everything in house.
Okay.
And in order to do so, in order to get a proper seal, you have to fill it to the absolute brim. Otherwise, it'll go bad faster, and people aren't paying for air.
You don't want the air.
Oh yeah, no.
That's what messes it up.
The chip bag. You don't want to do the chip bag thing. Right?
No,
I think the chip bag air is for protection.
So that's the best part about the podcast.
Supposed to be.
I think it's supposed to be.
Protection, yeah. Well, that's the best part of what our podcast is much different than a lot of the other hunting ones out there. A lot of people are really focused on just hunting from A to Z, right? Like we don't want to talk about. And I enjoy getting the other people that have really cool passions outside of the quote unquote sport.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, people have different day jobs and stuff, and some people have cool day jobs like selling coffee and beer.
Well, and that's one of the things that I realize is, yes, it is super cool. The people that make hunting and being an outdoorsman a living. That's amazing. But for 99% of outdoorsmen and outdoors women, we all got day jobs.
Exactly.
We all got
It's not
lives.
realistic.
We all got we got kids and things like that.
Congratulations, by the way.
Hey, thanks,
man.
man. Appreciate it. Yeah. My wife and I are super, super excited to announce to welcome our first into the world, and the little turd came 24 days early. I say he wanted to get the adventure started early.
Heck yeah.
But mom's healthy, baby's healthy, everything's going well.
That's all you can ask for, man.
Yeah. But no, super excited to be here, man. I'm very interested to see which way this conversation goes.
I told you I was just going to send it.
Yeah. No,
So-
let's do
But
it.
no, well, so we had Andrew in. So Andrew, he's got the tack shirt on. So Andrew,
This is where we met.
That's right.
so Andrew screwed me over on tack this year.
Uh-oh. Did
I
you
did not.
steal
So-
his spot? He was going to come?
No,
No.
I was going to. All right. So what happened is, I think we were waiting to see whether you could come. So Ben's behind the camera today. He's running the producer show.
Thanks, Ben.
Yep. No
But
problem.
you got the mic on.
It is a good
Yep.
voice.
You think-
He's got a good voice.
I like
You need to talk
dude.
more.
I like this. I like this. This is like the Jamie thing.
It's
You
like
got
the
mic.
buttery. Yeah.
I
I
was
need to
wondering.
hook up another camera, so I got an angle here.
GoPro.
Yeah. Maybe I could run my computer camera or something.
I love this. This is sweet. I didn't even know that you had the headset on. All right, so it was what, Thursday, and I'm like, okay, bro, we need to figure out what, or it was ahead of time, but I'm like, we need
Okay,
to
I was
figure
like
out
the
what's,
Thursday
No,
of
it was
time.
no. It actually was probably Tuesday.
we need to
when
figure
I
out
found out.
what day. Well,
Oh,
we were
really?
trying to figure out what day would work best for us because it was going to be him, myself. We had talked about getting a cabin. Brandon involved, and
It was good. It was there was a lot of
Alex,
people. At that
or
time.
Austin.
Austin.
Boys, you can't wait that long to book
No,
a
so,
cabin.
So what did they do? They released it on like whatever day that they released it. It was like a Tuesday.
Oh,
or
you're
something.
right. It was Thursday.
And
I was
then-
heading to NWTF.
Yeah, you were heading. So they released it, and then he was down there. I'm like, bro, like we gotta go. Like you know how it is.
Yeah.
Especially this year. This year was
Yeah.
like gone.
Well, people don't realize Pennsylvania is year over year the number 2 largest
Is it?
attendance tack behind Utah.
Okay.
So for the majority of the year, it leads in largest in attendance until the very last weekend when Utah just blows it out of the
Yeah.
water. I think the just vendor wise, the Pennsylvania one had like 83 or 87 vendors.
Well, yeah, the vendor row in PA. Is,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's
Utah,
great.
Utah
Yeah.
had, I
I
believe,
enjoyed it.
over 100 vendors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard in Utah that you got to hike up to them, right? They're not right down at the bottom.
Well, this year, Utah was at a completely different location, so I don't know the ins and outs. I was at home with a newborn, otherwise
Yeah.
I'd have been there. But yeah, so Utah this year was a completely different spot, and so I'm not exactly sure. In years past, actually, the year that I won the tack truck.
I was hoping you'd bring it today.
I know.
Listen,
He
that's
rolled-
a, that's
he rolled
a
in-
far drive, man. Gas is expensive.
He rolled in on the beater. I was like,
Yeah,
I
little
can see
daily
why-
driver,
I
little
don't blame
scoot
you.
around Toyota Corolla.
The go-kart.
But that year, 2021, I think it was, I can't remember what resort it was at, but there was a massive windstorm at the Utah event, and Vendor Village you had to ride a gondola up to Vendor Village, and it blew the PSE tent on top of the truck.
Oh, geez.
So when I took possession of the truck, I'm looking at it and I'm like,
haggard.
I'm like, where are all the? I mean, we're talking like small dents and scratches.
Of course, it was PSE, not Bear. Right?
But still, it was like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, what happened? And they were like, oh no, massive windstorm. I guess it just like took all of the vendor tents and stuff and started,
man.
tumbling it all
I
over
didn't know
the
that
place.
happened.
Yeah.
we need to make that. I like Crystal Springs a lot, but Crystal Springs is Michigan. Seven Springs. I like
Yeah.
Seven Springs a lot, but I think going to one of the other ones would be really fun. Big Sky, I think, would be a really fun one.
Well, that's
Big-
Ryan and
Big
Mason and
Sky's
all them.
beautiful.
That's where they were.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
Height was out there.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
because that's a whole nother bookmark in the YouTube video.
That's right.
So, but TAC is what he ended up. I ended up not going. He
Right.
ended up going with the connections that he has. Ended up having a great time.
And you found this out on Tuesday.
But then you,
that I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I had already had I was already
I
mentally
slept in my
checked
truck.
out.
Hey.
I love it.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
You gotta do.
I found out so late, and they were like, "Well, we got passes." And I'm like,
Let me ask you this. Did you sleep okay? Did you have a good time while you were there?
Oh, his truck's decked out.
Then,
let
then
him-
I don't
let him
feel
do
bad
it.
for you in the slightest.
"No,
Don't feel bad for him. His truck's he's the guy that likes to sleep in his truck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in it or under it. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like so, I was perfect. I had shower. Yeah, I was clean. Showers.
No, he's got everything. He's got everything that you need.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
fall
a
asleep watching Top
go
Gun.
gadget.
Yeah,
So you were in an RV, a truck camper, basically.
He's decked. He's got the stand up
Hey,
shower.
we don't feel bad for him.
No, I don't feel
No,
bad for him.
not in the slightest.
it's perfect.
He's
for
got his
trailheads.
ready to eat meals.
Yeah,
But so you guys ended up connecting, which is why we had
Yes.
AJ here in the first place. Because I mean, I think I've seen some stuff or seen pictures of you from TAX, but never really put two and two together. How crazy is it, man? You're a Muskingum grad.
Yeah.
You guys,
Yeah, it's small world.
You guys You guys
we know mutual friends that own Nocterra Brewing.
Exactly. It's just such a small world, and that's one thing I found out about this industry is like it's so much smaller than what people believe it to be.
Well, and I personally take pride in connecting good people with good people.
Oh, sure.
So by association, I end up meeting all of those good people and chatting and talking and things like that. And I just, man, I like people. I like talking. I get it from my dad, but I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we have you. So you guys met, and then you guys got kicked off a little bit. I know. How'd that conversation go with just introducing? Because you had a group text with me.
Yeah, we were just. I was down. I was with a target company. I was just down at the range.
At the novelty shots.
At the novelty shots.
Yeah.
I was with 2 different booths, and all of a sudden, hanging out, someone had mentioned something that you were there or whatnot. Your name got brought up, and then it was probably only 15, 20 minutes later than we bumped into each other and then just started talking.
Yeah.
And I was like, absolutely. And then once I figured out actually who you were and who you worked with and stuff, I was like, no, this is perfect. Like, we need to continue this conversation.
Well, because I liked it. We had a great time when we went.
Oh, it's just a good time.
We went in what, 22? 21? No, 22.
Not this past season.
22.
We
went
the season
with
before.
Listen,
my brother.
it's the single greatest collective of archers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with it.
And like the novelty shots are great. It's just a good vibe. If you like archery or just the outdoors and you want to see products in the vendor row, if you want to meet, possibly have the opportunity to meet other individuals.
Yeah, especially in the industry.
People
are available and accessible.
Yeah, it's like because you can, hey, like let's go shoot in the afternoon. I mean, you have options. And it's a gateway.
Well, and this podcast is amazing too because you guys don't just have archers listening into it. You've got gun enthusiasts, you've got campers, you've got just overall outdoorsmen that are listening in, so it's fun for me to tell this story that my buddy who owns a coffee company up in Michigan in 2022, it was at Crystal Mountain. He was in Traverse City. He drove up just because we hadn't seen each other, and he's walking around and he's checking it out. He's like, "Man, this is really cool." 2 months later, he buys his first recurve, and while his coffee roasts, he shoots his recurve at his coffee sacks. And this year, he'll be hunting for the first time.
All because of that.
All because he came and just walked around and saw the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, it's for all archers. Yeah, it's not. You don't have to be an expert skill.
Not everything's 120.
Correct.
Right.
Well, you can walk in. A lot of people don't realize that you get a scorecard, and I can count on.
I didn't pay attention to how many times I didn't even look at the scorecard.
Dude, I've been going to TAC since 2019, and I can count on one hand the number of people I've actually seen keep score.
Yeah. It's not about fun.
Most people. I mean, I shot with my cousin and his little boy and his wife. We shoot 120. We'd scoot up, and his wife would shoot 50 yards. We'd scoot up, and his son would shoot 30 yards. And had a blast.
It's just the adventure of it.
Yeah. Good times.
Our motto: "Foam is home."
Foam is home.
That's right.
Anytime you're shooting an event like that, shout out to Justin too, Justin Ross. So he's doing something locally for a similar vibe. More of a smaller thing. We talked quite a bit about him and his show, and with
the archery hike.
Archery hike, and then we went down and participate.
I heard about that.
Yeah, he lets us come down. It's
you weren't there.
No, I wasn't there.
You need to next year.
I think I was dealing with the newborns.
Yeah, you probably were.
I think it was the same weekend.
It might have been.
It really was probably. He's such a great guy, and he let us come down and shoot too. Dude, it was harder than TAC.
The hiking was harder.
We're talking like 3 miles, 1,000.
No, I thought it was more than that.
I was like 3, maybe 3.3. It like 3 and a third, but it was tough, bro. You had TAC. There's so many people that the trails get tromped down pretty easily. Like especially at like PA where it's like greener. Like I couldn't imagine like some of the western stuff. It's probably not as bad, but like you're not really bushwhacking at Justin's, dude. You were bushwhacking. You hiked.
Yeah.
You were sweating. Your heart rate is like. Mine was like 180, 190 like the entire time.
So you have other issues going on.
Yeah,
that was the case.
Well, remember I dropped my water bottle. I'm like, man, I can't leave. Like it was like a plastic one like that. And I'm like, I can't leave this in the property. So I had to go to like 30 feet.
Back to
you dropped it.
Yeah.
You went to go pick it up and then knocked it off the edge. So it was within reach.
Yeah.
When you went to get it, then it just went down And you could just see it going all the way down to the
Like
creek.
a big
Right?
ravine.
Just see the disappointment in his face.
Like
He was
60 feet.
and it was only
Oh,
on like
geez.
target 5, so you're like, I definitely need the water.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I had backup. I just didn't want to waste it, or I just
You
don't
don't
want to
like trash.
litter
Yeah, I
it.
didn't wanna leave
I mean,
that.
so I was like, I gotta get it. Like, what's so much? Dude, it was like this.
Oh, jeez.
It was like that.
Straight down, straight up.
Oh,
Just getting
yeah.
ready for elk
And
season.
so I get up back to the top and they're gone. I'm like, what the hell? Like they just
I
left.
said, nah, you can catch up.
I didn't even know which way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
'cause-
like, well, I'm just going to keep going up the hill.
I was like, pass the bedded doe. Keep walking.
yeah.
So, but it's those kind of shoots, man. They're just so much fun. So much fun. We have a coworker here, Allie. She's gone in the summers for camp, but she goes to Tennessee with her dad.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only one that she can make it to because she's at like a Christian camp during the summer.
Oh, gotcha.
And so her and her dad drove all the way to Tennessee themselves, had like a weekend, father-daughter weekend, shooting the event, and came home. So it's a wide variety of people. I mean, you can at what event can you have John Dudley, Chris P., and all the other guys, and then like John Smith with just
With those guys.
a 3-pin,
And they're very friendly.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's great. And the reason why we're bringing all this up, and the reason why you were there, is because you were the lucky recipient, very blessed,
Very blessed.
to win the TAC truck. So that would have been 21, I
Yeah.
think is what
yeah,
you
yeah.
said
So
earlier.
2021.
So walk us through. Actually, before we get into that, we haven't really gave his background too. So,
Or his name.
AJ.
AJ. You gave
But-
his last name.
Yeah.
Let's get into you as an individual prior to that, and then we'll start walking into. Obviously, you got the beer, you have the coffee.
Yeah.
You went to Muskingum. Shout out Muskies. And then going into how you got into hunting and archery, and then we'll get into tag.
Cool. Yeah. So obviously my name's AJ Kazmierczak. A lot of people know me as the Coffee Viking on Instagram. Born and raised in around Columbus, Ohio, Grove City to be specific. Went to college to play baseball at Muskingum University. Super blessed there. That's where I met my business partner, and we started a coffee company called Jennings Java together. At the time, I was working construction for the family business. Was planning to take that over. Things fizzled out. Not anything crazy, but things just went a different route. That's when I got involved with Nocterra Brewing, which is my day job. So I handle all Southern Columbus sales for Nocterra Brewing, which is a craft brewery out of Powell. And everything that I do is outdoors or outside related.
Yeah.
So, for example, Nocterra's motto is literally beer plus outside. Our motto at Jennings Java is literally coffee outdoors. And then, of course, I've been hunting / primarily bow hunting since I was 15, 16.
Okay.
And that's a cool story in itself. My mom and dad, neither one of them hunt, but everyone on my mom's side does hunt.
Okay.
And I was how I got into this was I was a suburban kid through and through. I was a little bit of a turd. If you ask my cousin, I was definitely a turd. Just city slicker.
Oh, yeah.
Just the true city boy.
Grove City.
Middle school age, right? I had the sagging the shorts underneath the jeans, sagging the jeans.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's middle school AJ. My school, school district, Southwestern City Schools, had a levy come up, and if it passed, we kept sports. If it failed, we lost sports. Do you guys remember hearing about this?
I know a lot of schools did.
Yeah,
but I
Yeah,
don't
this has
remember
been
them.
like 08, 09. But
Yeah.
the levy didn't pass. They lost sports. At the time, I'm playing 3 sports, so I'm like, this isn't going to happen. Transferred down and start going to my mom's alma mater, Westfall High School, down in Pickaway County. Wow. And because of that, started hanging out with my mom's side of the family even more. And I am an older brother. I don't have an older brother. And so I looked at my cousin Bryce as that older brother figure. Well, him and the buddies, they had land. They were so deep into ATVs and bow hunting and things like that. I'm watching him. I'm like, man, I'm like, I need to get a bow. I found a Matthews Switchback XT
Heck yeah.
for $400 at a yard sale.
That's perfect.
And that was my first bow. Took my first first buck at 16. The rest is history. Hooked ever since.
Yeah, there's something special about bow hunting, man.
Yeah. And, I tell everyone, nothing against gun hunting whatsoever.
No.
But I'm the type of person, I will still take my bow during gun season. There's something about it for me. But yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
And then, fast forward to 2020, I go to 2019, 2020, go to my first Total Archery Challenge, which it was game over after that.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is amazing. My cousin and his buddy, they were kind of like, oh, this is a cool event, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, I was ate up with it. Fast forward again to 2021, nobody else wanted to go. Me and my good buddy, Jesse Swope, who was in my wedding, he lives in Pennsylvania. We met at playing baseball at college. And we went to the Seven Springs Total Archery Challenge, and that brings us back to the whole truck situation.
Exactly. So there was a funny story about your ticket for the truck, wasn't there?
Yeah. The funny story is that Jesse Swope paid for it. So
shout out Jesse for getting him the truck. You still had to make the shot. So
yeah. So and throughout this talk, I think it'll come across. I'm a big law of attraction guy.
Sure.
Just vision board, thinking about things, all that good stuff. But so Swope and I, we go to Total Archery Challenge Seven Springs, and we're shooting. We're having a good time. I'm shooting rather well, and we go down and we're shooting novelty shots. And at that time, I was looking at the African Big Game Safari and the tack truck novelty shot. Tack truck is 111 yards for $15 a shot. The African Safari was $5 a shot, and you could touch the
line.
You could touch line. The Caribou truck shot had to be a perfect shot.
Yep.
And the African Safari shot was like 43 to 47 yards. I'm an opportunity cost guy. I'm looking at that. I'm like, I get 3 shots at this compared to 1 over here.
For $5.
For $5, yeah. So Swope keeps coming over. He's like, man, I just shot for it. You need to go shoot for the truck, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, man, I'm good. I'm content. I'm going to keep shooting here.
Get some tickets.
Yeah. And I got, 3 or 4 entries for that as well. And then he comes over again and he's like, hey, you have to shoot for the truck. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I already bought your ticket. And I was like, well, okay.
Sure money, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I was like, cool, thanks, man. So I go over and I get ready to shoot, and there was these random guys. I don't know if they were joking. They were like jokingly playing big shot. So like they would shoot at the Iron Rhino and they would bust an arrow and they would sign it and they would hand it to somebody.
Yeah.
But they were just I asked everyone. They were just random dudes.
Yeah.
Just having
Well,
fun.
how that
arrow.
ties in is I'm standing at the line. I'm getting ready to draw, and they walk behind me, and he goes, aim 6 inches to the right. The wind up there is blowing harder than what people realize. I'm like, oh, okay. So sure enough, I'm full draw, and I get settled in, and I move over 6 inches to the right, and I let it fly, and the arrow looks good. There's a spotting scope and some binos set up. And we call him Tack Rob. His name's Rob Chalinsky. He essentially sets up the Pennsylvania course. Great guy. Absolutely great guy. But he kind of like pulls away, gives one of those like deer in the headlights look. He's like, man, that's close. I was like, what? And Swope hops up and he looks at it. And he's like, dude, you got to come over and look at this. I'm like, nope. We're going to let it be what it'll be. We're going to let everybody shoot. We'll go up. We'll walk to it. And whatever happens, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right. And people finished. We walk up. Sure enough, it ended up going in.
Awesome.
And from that point on, we just kind of rode the high. So Swope and I went. I took pictures in front of the truck that I've still got, just standing with it, and just really focusing in on like, you just need one.
Yeah.
You just need one. And, we go and we're talking to people, and met a guy named Jason Bradford. He's like, hey, when you win this truck, come out to Maryland and hunt Sika deer. I'm like, cool, sounds good, man. Yeah, let's do it. Fast forward to when they're drawing for it, and my name gets called. Immediately, I call Swope. I'm like, hey,
I just won.
I just won. I'm in Ohio. You're in Pennsylvania. Maryland's over here. I'm going to pick you up in our because I told him, I was like, you paid for my ticket. We're going to do something together if I win this.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
And sure enough, our first trip was I picked him up in Pennsylvania, and we hit Maryland for some Sika deer in Blackwater National.
That's awesome.
And dude, it was a whirlwind. But that story alone is amazing. But the amount of doors that have opened as a direct relation
because
of that truck has been astronomical. Super, super blessed to say that I work with Bear Archery and also Trophy Ridge now. You know, they surprised not only me, but Swope as well, because he came with me to pick up the truck and surprised us both with hunting bows.
Sweet.
You know, I've kept those relationships going. They are nothing but super, super nice, great people, very knowledgeable as well.
Yeah.
And then as a result, I've kept going to TAC and kept building those relationships and stuff like that. And there were some conversations that were had, and now I run social media for Total Archery Challenge as well.
And I think that's actually probably when the connection was made of that's who I needed to meet up with or get a hold of, and then that was you.
Yeah.
And then that's where the conversation quickly went to. It was just getting names and faces.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was one shot.
Yeah.
One
It
shot.
was only one shot. And I was
Makes
like,
you wonder, like, and you've seen the people too. Like how many thousands of dollars? How many tickets do you think go into that drawing?
well, so because I wanted to know it too.
Yeah.
So and the reel is still on TAC's social media. I pause the video when they have like the paper and they're like showing the arrow, and I'm like doing some quick math. And so like my year, there was about 100 to 120 names. Now, granted, some of them might be in multiple times or whatever, but still, there's 120 entries when I hit, and it gets bigger and bigger every year. The real interesting thing to me was I was told my year that I won it, there was a guy that showed up at Utah.
Oh, I remember hearing this.
And dropped. He walked up and said he wanted to buy 100 shots at $15 a pop. And he didn't shoot any of the courses.
He was just there for that.
He was just there to dump money and win this truck. Now, $100 at $15 a shot, that's $1,500. And so, you know, when I heard about that, I was like, man, that's crazy.
Does he have a YouTube channel? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
But then I made sure to make a point and tell Sean, who's the owner that puts on TAC, I was like, listen, I want you to know this truck is going to someone that otherwise would not be able to afford it. It's going to be ran through. It's going to be treated well.
It's going to be used as a hunting rig.
It's going to be used as intended as a hunting rig. And I had multiple people tell me I was crazy for taking possession of it. Instead, I should have just taken a buyout or something like that. But
no, heck yeah, man.
No.
Like when that happened, do you have to pay the taxes on it, or how's that?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But still, I mean, it's
very fortunate. I had a truck at the time.
So you sold it.
I sold that, and that covered the taxes on
perfect.
it. Yeah, so it worked out. It worked out.
That's perfect, man.
We've talked about Mason before. He just hit on one of our archery podcasts.
Yeah.
He just hit it in Utah.
Mason
did he?
Yeah.
He got entered on it?
Oh,
So
they went to Utah.
Yeah, him and Ryan, and they were all in Utah.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
then they just sent me a message. He was like, Mason's in.
That
is awesome.
He was going to shoot in PA when I was there. Hopefully I was going to try to get video of him shooting.
Yeah.
And it was so windy this year.
It was
down at the novelty shots,
uphill.
and it was up. Well, most
Both
of them are
ways.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so he didn't end up shooting. He waited until his dad was with him, and then he hit it in Utah.
And so Mason is the prodigy son that we talked about
he's
when we
the young
were.
kid. Yes.
Yeah,
Dude, he was shooting even in the wind. He was shooting lights out in PA.
I think he's got like 3 state records
And we
already
had,
now.
we were talking about him with Kurt, right?
Kurt.
Nice settler.
Yes.
And Kurt won the senior open. I don't remember what episode it was, but to go back, we talked about.
Yeah, he won the Lancaster
senior class
this year.
And you want to talk about cool? My interaction with him, meeting him,
Mason.
Meeting Mason, because that's Now
I was there. I was there as Mason's handler, basically.
He's like what, 13?
13.
Yeah, but I met him. You're like, or I think you or someone else said, hey, you should get some shots of this guy. He's he's shooting lights out, whatever. And I come up and we shake hands and introduce ourselves, and we start kind of BSing and talking, and he's just like super polite. He's like, hey, I'm gonna go over here and shoot. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like the kid just wants to get out and shoot.
If we weren't on course, he was just shooting at the range.
Yeah,
all day.
Really?
Yeah, he'd shoot for 2 hours or whatever in the morning.
Dude,
we'd take off on the course. We'd be done, and we're tired, hungry, and he's like, I'm gonna go shoot. I was like, well, I know where you're at. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then he'd go down there and shoot until dark. It seemed like.
Super cool kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He won. He shot against Dudley on the Yeti.
I think I heard about this. What did he win?
His mug. Dudley's mug.
That's awesome.
He signed it,
right?
Yeah, he signed it and everything and did. Yeah, it was super cool.
That's awesome.
That was our experience too with Dudley. And that going back to just how cool these were and what kind of solidified it for me. But a lot of people know Sika offered like the free beer.
The happy hour.
The happy hour free beer. And we had just wrapped off the course. I think we sat and we talked to Bo Martonic, which inevitably led to the conversation
Another
that we had.
great guy.
Which, awesome dude. We ended up having him on the podcast from that conversation. I'm like drenched in sweat. I'm like, sorry, bro. Like,
oh, that was the year I had the mustache. That's right.
Yeah, and you had the mustache. And so Bo was like, whatever, bro. It's okay. Like, and then, but then you get down and you're in the village and you're having a beer. Sika's, just slinging them out. And then Dudley's back. And, dude, he's, like, sunburnt, sweaty. And then he's drawing on his palm. I'm not sure the camera. He's drawing his palm to show palm pressure and proper form and answering people's questions. And someone asked him about that. He literally was just like, and he's like, this is what you need to do. Like, this is where and it was just like, you're getting the one-on-one. I mean, you're with 50 other people, but he's tall enough that you can see exactly what he's doing.
And you're asking one-on-one questions. Dude, and
I think that's how I got my Sika hat too. Because remember, he was like first timers, and I was like, that's my first time.
That's right.
Sika was just like giving hats.
Listen, going back to single greatest collective of archers aspect, those that are quote unquote professional archers, or they are celebrities or figureheads in the industry. The ones that attend Total Archery Challenge, I will go to bat for 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
The single most genuine people you will ever meet. And that, Dudley is a prime example of that. He shoots a course early and then sits at a random target on knock-on
to shoot with people
until the day's over.
All day. All day.
Yeah. We're talking, first ticket up is 7 a.m. and they start shutting it down around 2:30. Right? That's all day. He's sitting there talking to people. Then he comes back down, could easily just retire to his trailer, chill out. But instead he's like, no, I want to give more to the archery community. Does Q&A sessions, answers questions, or that's what Q&A means.
Pictures and, the whole thing, right? Like meet and greet, shaking hands.
I don't...
Shooting with Mason and stuff like that.
Just great people.
Or because he sells his stuff there. His wife's in the booth all day long.
All day long.
But like if you had a problem with your release, or you're like, hey, how do you fix this or do this? He'll be like, let me see it. And you hand it to him, and he'll click it off or whatever, and he goes, oh, here, and then he'll adjust it. And he's like, try that. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's there to help.
Dude, I watched the year that I won the truck, 2021. We shot knock on, and as we were coming up to where he was in the middle of fixing someone's D loop because the guy drew and his D loop popped off, and he's like, "Do you have?" The guy's dad had tools and stuff like that, but they clearly didn't really know how to use it.
Yep.
And he's like, "Well, here, let me just take care of it for you."
That's awesome.
And he could do it quick.
Yeah. Stopped everything, fixed this guy's D loop, so that he could keep shooting.
Come on. Yeah.
What's not to like?
Exactly. Dude,
But,
it's just a great event.
Yeah.
Period.
Shout out to Duds. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I doubt he'd be listening. Send him the link. I'm sure you got the connection.
We'll tag him in it. We'll cut it and tag him in
We'll
it.
chop it up.
Yeah.
Specifically for
Photoshop a picture like he's sitting right here.
Well, and remember, so my groups were horrible. I was using, and I liked the release. The added pressure of the distance plus the off camber.
Plus you're hiking.
Plus I'm hiking, but I use Chris's original hinge release. So the Ultra View hinge release.
Yeah.
And
it's a good release, not for everybody.
Yeah. For a hunting situation, it wasn't the best. But for going to the range and shooting 3D
Indoor,
or shooting spots and you're very consistent and you're on level ground, it was great. But my group sizes I was struggling. I'm like, they
were 14 inches.
I was pizza tray. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up telling him, I was like, hey, let me just try yours because he's got the knock-on release. What's it?
Knock to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, very first time. And I was like, all right, cool. So I used his for the rest of the time, sold my release to my brother-in-law, and I bought one from Sharon right at the as soon as we got back. I was like, yep, charge it to winning.
See, that and that's a great point because you always hear all these people that they try to throw a blanket over things, and they're like, if you want to be an amazing archer, you have to shoot a hinge or you have to shoot this or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I went through a phase, and admittedly, I'm not a fan of the knock to it. Mm-hmm. Not because it's a bad release, but I don't like how my index finger is enclosed. It pushes up against it, and I don't like the 2-finger draw method. Mm-hmm. I also am not stoked on the hinge aspect. Yes. I understand it. I appreciate it.
There's a lot of room for error.
Yeah, but I get the whole it forces you to be surprised on the break and stuff like that. I use the Ultra View thumb button.
Yeah.
And it is, in my opinion, the most ergonomically perfect release I've ever used. And I shoot great with it. So that's why I kind of hesitate when people are like... In
the same breath, though, I would tell you I didn't like it because of the way the attachment to the D-loop takes, you got to kind of fumble. You got to fumble with it a little bit as opposed to the Carter. You just...
Yeah.
So that's, but it's different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. The point of that is there is no one you need to shoot this release. No. If you have the ability to, you should go and try out different things.
Yeah.
And that's why archery is for everyone.
Yeah.
Because it works.
You just have to find what works
for you.
Yeah,
and exactly. It's a bunch of tinkering.
Look at Cam Haynes. He's using the index release. Has forever.
Yeah. On command, too. It's not like he's not doing a pull-through
My
shot.
brother uses that release.
Yeah.
And loves it.
The Spot Hog.
Yeah.
Do we have that Spot Hog? I think we do, don't we? Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny, I don't use any Spot Hog products anymore, but I love their gear. Yeah. I've owned a Fast Eddie. I've owned the Wise Guy and stuff like that, and I think they make great stuff.
Yeah. It's for the durability.
Yeah, I think the Fast Eddie site is probably, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best sites on the market.
I dropped mine from 20 feet up when I thought I had mine attached to my bow rope and dropped it. Ding, 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 all the way down. Went and shot it the next morning. It was completely fine.
Yeah.
Remember that?
They are made.
I dropped my bow.
Yeah, the Fast Eddie is made.
I think I had that one on there. Yeah, that was my camo bow, so I would have.
Yeah. I always joke with the Spot Hog equipment. It is made to drive in tent stakes.
Yeah.
It is bulletproof.
Exactly.
And so that's why I use it. It's like pull in the dovetail, put it on the back of your pack, and you're not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So out of all these events, what event, because you've been to several of them, obviously, throughout the country, what event do you feel like is, the relationship to the East Coast and how many people live on the East Coast, obviously Seven Springs is probably the most people, like you said, outside of the Utah ones.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, Utah's got what 2, 3? It's was it Park City, and then or did they switch it this year?
Yes.
This year was switched.
Yeah, so it used to.
They have a couple of them there.
It used to. This year there was only one, and it's always the finale because that is home base for Total Archery Challenge. So it makes sense that is the largest one. But I assume you were saying
which of all the ones that you've been to, because there's some unique ones. Look at San Antonio, or look at which is flat, right?
Yeah.
Or Seven Springs. You have in Michigan, so what out of the ones that you've attended, like what do you feel like is probably, if someone wants to get into it for the very first time, they could travel anywhere, where would you send them?
If it like first time going to TAC or first time going to TAC as a new archer, because that's different.
Yeah, that's very different. I would say experienced archer wanting to try an event. Or
Experienced archer wanting to go to an event, go to Big Sky.
Big Sky.
Oh my goodness. It's the travel to and from there is a little pricier because there's literally one airport in, one airport out.
Yeah.
And one road in, one road out. There's not a whole lot of camping, cabin, places to stay, things like that. But just in terms of sheer views and beauty and all of that good stuff, go to Big Sky. If you are an experienced archer attending TAC for the first time, it's amazing because you can still get on like we call them, the locals courses. So Loopold, Black Rifle, those are designed to be a little easier, still tougher than your local 3D shoot, but a little more hunt.
Yeah, more realistic.
Yeah,
You're not shooting a gopher at 160 yards.
Right. A little more realistic. Or in that same breath, you could walk Sitka or Prime and you've got 130-yard mule deer.
Yeah.
And that's all at that one event. Now, I will say, if you are a new archer coming to TAC for the first time, dude, the Pennsylvania event's fantastic.
Yeah.
It has everything.
It's a great venue. It is.
It's not too hard on hiking.
Exactly. It's got people, not too hard on hiking, but you're still going to get a good workout.
You'll get a heart rate.
Yeah. It still has a great mix of us regular people and archery celebrities. There was 11 novelty shots this year. The practice range is huge.
Yeah.
There's 8 courses, 7 or 8 courses, so there's plenty of opportunity to get on different things and stuff like that.
The lodge is pretty sweet too.
The lodge is cool.
It's at Seven Springs Ski Resort, which is a super
parking's easy,
super well known.
The old Foggy Goggle. Great nachos. Get the pulled pork nachos.
The pizza's good. Yeah, there's this good food on site where, like, if you don't need to leave, you really don't need to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
you can stay.
Experienced archer, first time TAC, go to Big Sky. New archer, first time TAC, go to Pennsylvania.
What do you say about some of the Western ones and because I'm a little hesitant too on just how my body will react at elevation on some of those bigger ones like Utah or Big Sky. Like, do you see a mixed bag of people showing up to there, or is it?
And
because there's people that have had we just talked about Bo.
Yeah,
Bo just had a horrible experience with elevation sickness. Last spring, not this coming spring, but maybe the past one.
Did he post that on YouTube?
He talked about it. Yeah, it was
last season.
I think I remember seeing
his high country mule deer hunt, and
he come off the mountain.
Yeah,
3 days or something like that.
So while people shouldn't be scared of it, they should be aware.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it goes back to, and I'm going to get way in the weeds here, but I'll bring it back. I think a lot of it goes back to the old thought of folks in Western states are in better shape because of the fact that they're hiking in and out for mule deer, antelope, elk, what have you, sheep, recreation.
Yeah.
Folks in the Midwest hunt whitetail, and you don't have to be in shape to hunt whitetail.
Yeah.
Which technically is true. I know plenty of people that are out of shape that shoot monsters. However, just from a pure health side of things, and I'll shameless plug, that's why I work with First Form Outdoors. Just from a pure health side of things, it's going to benefit you in all facets of life to be in better shape.
Yeah.
I admittedly, when I went to Big Sky, I was like, all right, how is this going to affect me?
Yeah.
I was out of breath hiking up and down and stuff like that, but at no point was I like, oh man, I need to get down. I need to get out of here. So yes, it is going to benefit you to be in better shape to go to those Western shoots, right? Don't quote me on this, but I think the Utah, Big Sky, maybe Colorado, you're at that 8 to 10,000 elevation
it's like that
range.
tipping point.
Yeah.
However, unlike Bo's experience where he was hiking in and camping for 10 days or whatever, you're there for the day. You know, you might spend 4 hours hiking through a course, and then you're back down at, you know, base camp essentially.
Yeah. Well, and you have, I'm sure the med staff for TAC is good too.
Yeah. Well, and that's a whole nother thing. The crew at TAC is just
a testament to all of them,
dude. Unbelievable. Great people. They know what's going on. And every year, because this happens, right? It is what it is. It happens. I actually, on the TAC page, I had someone DM us and say, you know, so thankful, because I try to always give credit to the crew. Yes. My job's easy. I'm on social media. Yeah. The crew is huffing and puffing and hiking and things like that. So I try to give them credit. And one of the times I did, someone messaged in and said, you know, shout out to Frank. He drove the gator all the way up and helped my wife who had rolled her ankle.
That's awesome.
You know, she's in good shape. It just was a freak thing. And, you know,
exactly.
the Big Sky, the Utah Chute, things like that, there is a little more like rocky shale kind of stepping. And it's easy to, you know, lose footing and stuff like that. And, you know, this year, Uncharted Supply Co. Sponsored all the med packs that were at base camp, up at the halfway point and stuff like that. There's also on the scorecards, there's a like emergency hotline.
Contact.
Yeah.
And, you know, you call in, hey, we're on knock on, we're on target 13, and my buddy just blew out his knee. Is there any way you guys can get to us?
Oh, no,
and
they'll be there.
99% of the time, they're like, yeah, we're coming. There's 1% of the time where it's like, listen, you're on this steep incline. We just need you to get you to a flat spot to get the vehicle up, and then they'll pull you back off. And, you know, between the medical help and just the team being A1, TAC is.
Well, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that because people, I mean, that's a real fear that people have.
Oh,
I mean, just looking at my last example, we went to Gatlinburg and we hiked up to Klingman's Dome. That's 6,500 feet. Like, you're going to experience some type of elevation there.
Yeah.
And it affected my wife way more than it affected me. And so it's like, but we still were able to do it. When you're looking at like this event, again, it's 4 hours. So it's not like you're doing a backcountry 10-day hunt where the only way that you're communicating is through your Garmin.
Right.
And then you're lucky to get a med flight to come and save you. So you're at an event where there's going to be other people around. There's other opportunities for people to see you or to help you. And so that's.
And even the patrons, like everyone who's enjoying the event is nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever.
Dude.
So it's, I mean, we're at one stage and a guy goes to, and everyone's nervous. It's unique shots and it's just different situations than they're normally in. He goes to shoot his bow, and when he shoots, like you knew something happened because when he shot, it looked funny, but he shot his arrow and the release. He just let go of the release.
Oh, I remember you telling me that.
And it flung releases are expensive, like a $200 release into the weeds. I mean, you had probably 16 people trying to help find
grid
this
searching
release.
for the
release.
Release.
Everyone's like, look, exactly. Grid search it. Let's put some waypoints.
Well, and this isn't to.
It's just everyone's helping.
This isn't to one up you. This is to add to your story. Pennsylvania alone, a lot of people don't realize it. There were 2 releases lost and 2 wallets lost. That other patrons found and
awesome.
turned in, and all 4 of those got back to the rightful people.
That's cool.
Was it PA that a whole backpack with the bow strapped to it was just sitting in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Was that PA
at the end of the event, and someone took a photo, and it was it was like nighttime at this point, and it was just like standing right up there.
It looked like it was supposed to be put in the truck, and it just left
it
sitting
there. It had green
there.
accents to it. I remember that. Yeah, and it was just there, and they were like, hey, you know, we gave this to the TAC crew, and I believe we got that back to them too.
Everyone, he got his bow, his whole.
They're probably eating their sandwiches
kit.
out of the back of their 4Runner.
Maybe.
He made fun of me because I came prepared, dude. We had snacks.
Gotta have
We had
snacks.
sandwiches.
I have snacks, but I have like
I was like, you want turkey?
bagged food
I was
snacks.
like, you want
we had
turkey?
real sandwiches.
I was like, you want a turkey sandwich? I made him this morning.
Yeah, he made them before.
What?
Yeah, I was like, actually, sure.
Actually,
Absolutely.
yeah. I want to make fun of you so bad, but yes,
Yeah,
I can.
I was
They
like, I'll
tasted,
partake
they
in it.
tasted great after we
It
were
was.
done, though.
I
Cold.
like- you had like
and
the golden
Yeti.
potato bun. Yeah, it was like even
Ooh,
better.
potato bun.
And the Yeti. It was
Second
great.
best to the Hawaiian. I'll get down with both.
Oh,
no
yeah.
Hawaiian for me.
What?
It's potato buns where it's at.
I like them both. I like them.
It's too sweet.
I'm a fat guy. But no, so that kind of segues me into my next point. So one thing that I found from you in my short time knowing you is that the mental strength is huge for you.
Yeah.
Mental strength, positivity, and so that's kind of set you up because you naturally talked about it in a very positive manner. One thing that I found in following you is you're super positive. You're just a go-getter, I guess I should say, for lack of a better
It
term.
irritates people sometimes.
No, but well, here's the deal. So even this morning, so I was like, oh man, I want to see what AJ's doing this morning. See when he's coming. And
Oh, geez,
you
you
didn't
already
want to
looked-
work out, right?
You already looked at it this morning?
Yeah, I'm on social media all the time. So, we talked about your son.
Yeah.
You're like, and this is a motto as a dad too. Like I could, like same thing, but my son's looking at me.
Yeah.
So if you can, I'm sorry, but let's get into
Dude, I
that.
love this stuff.
Let's
Come
get
on.
into-
Keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Come on.
So I'm a father. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
The positivity that you bring is awesome.
Dude, I love that. Man,
Nice.
now you're going to get me choked up. To tie everything in, you probably saw me. I went to the gym, didn't want to go. Today, right, we were recording at 10 a.m. My son's on a 3-hour feeding schedule, as newborns are.
Oh, yeah.
And he fed at the worst time, in my opinion. He fed at 4, and he was feeding at 7. And I'm like, well, he fed at 4. It's now 4:30. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym right now.
Yeah.
I get up early. That's earlier than I get up. But then I'm like, if I wait until 7, that's going to be 7:30. And I live, 45 minutes from here. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to go to the gym. And I'm like, you got to do it. And the thing that sticks out to me, and I'll send this to you. The thing that sticks out to me is Lou Carella, who was the head coach for Georgia Tech. Now he's somewhere else. But he has this viral clip going around. And he's like, man, someday your kid's going to be looking at you.
Yeah.
And you're
I've
going to be
seen that.
like,
I've
yeah.
seen that,
And he's like, someday your kid's going to look at you and you're going to be telling him to go for his dreams and go for this and go for that. And he's going to say, well, what about you?
Yeah.
Why, why'd you settle? Why you're telling me to go after this, but you didn't go after it? And I'm like, I can't let that happen.
No.
And so that's why I went to the gym at 5 a.m. this morning. And that's why I do a lot of things. And, just in he turned 1 month today.
Oh,
So
there
just
you go.
in the 1 month of him being around, dude, it's really put in perspective. Like, if I'm going to do something, I gotta go after it.
yeah, don't talk about it. Be
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Oh,
And
for sure.
you were talking about me being positive and mental toughness and stuff like that. And there's a lot of other people that I follow. There's a lot of people that I follow that I look up to in that regard, and it all stems back to the same thing, which is, we're alive. We're put on this earth to do something, and I feel like I'm put on this earth to hopefully inspire people to be the best version of themselves, and hopefully, I understand that there's people looking up to us. You've got 2
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
They see you as a superhero. You know what I mean? And so we got to act like it. And we got to do the hard stuff. And we've got to show them that, life's going to be tough, but you can push through it in no matter what aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going to take that turn. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But no, that's the thing, like, especially in today's society, like, everyone is looking for a quick answer.
Yeah.
And, I put a lot of my stuff in faith, but at the same time, there's people out there, and it's just like, we all know them. It's just like, oh, today's a shit day. Or,
Yeah.
like, every day's a shit day. I'm always a bad. I'm like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? How are you sleeping?
Yeah.
Like, let's resolve these little things and see how much better you feel. Like, I feel like people are so quick to just get the pill.
They want the easy answer.
They want that. Yeah, just go to the doctor, get me the pill. I
Yep.
can just live off of that. And it's just like, that's not a way to live your life.
Well, and on top of that, half of the time they won't go get it, so that way they have an excuse to be lazy.
Yeah.
Well, I can't, excuse me, I can't work out because I've got this issue going on with my foot. Well, okay, have you elevated? Have you iced it? Have you gone to a doctor? Have you had x-rays done? I mean, there's a whole list of things. Well, no, I'm just kind of hoping that it gets better. Well, it's been 3 months and it hasn't gotten better, and you're still using this same excuse, this same crutch.
Yeah, problems don't age well.
Yeah.
No.
You got to fix it.
Yeah, my problems at 35 are a lot harder than the ones I had at 28.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you just gotta know that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I could certainly work out more than I do, and that's what's cool about meeting you. And it's like started to fire that. There's a fire.
Get the drive.
Everyone has a fire in their belly. You just got to find it.
Yeah.
And
you have to stoke it.
Yeah.
And you got to stoke it. There's so many people, they see that fire and they stray away from it because they know if I'm going to stoke that fire, it means there's a lot of hard work ahead.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, to
sacrifices.
Yeah. Yeah. And, to be as corny as possible, everyone talks about how diamonds are made under pressure. We as people are no different. The more pressure we're put under, the better off we're going to be on the other side of it,
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend at 28 I know what you're going through at 35.
Yeah.
But I do know that no matter what, we can do something to work and get better. You
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
We can I'm not saying everyone has to go and join CrossFit or do this or do that or whatever, but your kids, you said they're 7 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Go for a walk with them.
Exactly.
You can go for walks. You can do all of this different stuff to slowly better your life and health and livelihood and things like that. And a lot of people, like you said, stray away from that because of the fact that they know it's hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having the kids really helps put all that stuff in perspective too. Like, what was the one that I saw? I mean, what was it? There was a gentleman. It was like a TikTok video, or there's a lot of inspirational people. Almost to the detriment, because it's like the tired dad. I'm sure you've seen him on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, dude. Like, at some point, you're depressing me because you're not allowing me to live for that moment right now, because I'm already looking ahead to when I don't have it.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I saw too was like, just right mental mindset and stuff is basically he had an argument with his wife, and we've all had them. But he was at work, and the older gentleman said, he's like, oh, I got this problem with my wife. We argued. It is what it is. I'm at work. We'll handle it. We'll handle it when we get home. And the guy said, how do you know you're getting home?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've seen that same thing.
Right.
Yeah. And it
puts it in perspective, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And, to that point, there's that aspect. I've seen that same thing.
Yeah.
And it really it's like, damn.
Yeah.
Well, there is no guarantee. Freak accident. And obviously you don't want to think about that because that's super, super morbid, but freak accidents happen all the time.
Yeah.
And, I have a couple of buddies that I follow that they say I inspire them, but they really inspire me, and they keep me humble. Because when I'm feeling down on myself, I think about my buddy Tate Hale, who had his leg amputated. I think about my buddy Josh, son of the South, who was in a freak turkey hunting accident, and his father shot him, and he's paralyzed from the waist down. And I'm like, dude, I got 2 arms, I got 2 legs, I got a great head on my shoulders. Like, what? I don't have any excuses. No. Get your ass to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see my buddy Josh, who he's been through the ringer when it comes to pain and issues with his back and stuff like that. Dude, he's training to do a full Murph, which
ain't no joke.
Like, paralyzed from the waist down, and he's going to do his version of Murph. And I'm like, what do I have to complain about? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Nothing.
Like, there's always stuff that puts things in perspective, Derek Weeda with First Form. He he's a combat vet. He had his leg amputated. I'm going to butcher his name. Nick Santisano. Nick Santisano. This dude has no legs, no arm, and one arm that has like a couple fingers.
Yeah, it's almost like a hook.
And he's a world-class speaker. And he's a world-class, like, personal development guru and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do we have to complain about?
Exactly.
You know? And so I use those guys as fuel to keep my vision in perspective of, you know, hey, we got work to do. I want to inspire people too. I want them to know that they can do whatever they set their minds to. It's going to be difficult. You're going to be put under pressure, but you can do this.
Oh yeah.
And so that's one of the things that kind of keeps me honest and keeps me humble, basically.
Yeah, I should probably take the clothes off the Peloton bike tonight, Andrew, shouldn't I?
Yes.
You probably should.
Yes.
I was just messing with that.
But it's like it's all mental. But we all have we all have family lives.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you have your spouse, and it's like we have this passion that takes us away. And I think I've spoke about this often, but it's like you guys took it to a state of like you don't know when you're coming home, but they sacrifice a lot
My wife's a rock star.
to allow us
I think we'd all
to
agree.
enjoy this passion.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
this
I'm sitting
passion
in
takes
a
us
tree.
away often.
I'm sitting in a tree for 4 hours, most likely not seeing anything.
Yeah.
And you got to deal with 2 toddlers or 2 young children at home.
Yeah.
Like you're
Keep the house together.
Yeah, you have it way harder than what I do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me to do something I enjoy, and it's like, gosh, like you have to. Those are relationships that you have to constantly take care of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
chase after, pursue, because that's what it's also allowing you to do what you want for fun.
Well, and to that point, I will say one of the best pieces of advice that I've seen from a spousal side of things is never stop dating your partner.
Yeah, I was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And it's like, you know, hey, we got married. Like right now, actually, we got married. We've got a kid. I told on Monday or something, like both of us were just beat. You know, Riggs, that's my son's name. Love that name. Riggs slept terribly. We're both exhausted. I think both of us may have snapped at each other, just like real small.
Yeah.
But then I'm like driving around and working and stuff like that. And I'm like, I got to do something. So I called up one of my beer clients and I was like, hey, you guys got openings for Friday? So we're going to go do a steak dinner tomorrow. You know, still living life 3 hours at a time because kids got to feed. But my mom's going to watch Riggs, and then we're going to go and
God bless grandparents, man.
Yeah.
They're going to pump them full of sugar, but at least they're there.
Yeah.
We do. Rachel and I, there'd be times where she's like, let's go. We're not even on vacation. We always looked at vacation as like putt-putt or something like that. You go do something for fun. We do that probably like once a month.
Yeah.
We'll go and like, let's go play putt-putt.
Yeah.
It's just something different.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Just a
sure.
date. Yeah.
For sure. And that's something that I struggle with too. And that's why I love the name.
I think all of us can be better with it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that's why I love the name The Pursuit, because it's not necessarily just one. When we were trying to name the podcast, it's like we went through several different names. And it's like, you know, that could be life at home. That could be, you know, being a fisherman. That could be a hunter. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, everyone's got a pursuit that they're chasing. And, you know, this year is make sure I'm get this right, it's my 11th year.
Yeah.
So we're going on my 12th year of marriage. She's calling me right now. Ladies and gentlemen, she's calling me right now.
The real boss.
The real boss.
You should answer.
Yeah. Answer on the podcast. Yeah. I almost did. But again, now my daughter's in gymnastics, and my son wants to ride his dirt bike. He wants to go out and look for deer with me. My daughter wants to go shutting home. I mean, like, kids take a lot from you, and, you know, you just got to keep getting up.
Yeah.
You just got to keep getting up. You just got to keep getting after it, because it's like, it's not slowing down. And I do know, and I made fun of like some of the ones that like tired dad, like eventually that is going to go away, and I'm going to wish I had it.
Yeah.
And so, but you're right, man. Like, and we've never really talked about this on the show before, but, you know, we always talk about being outside. We always talk about the pursuit of chasing the game, but man, you got to take care of your relationships at home.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Your home life.
Yeah.
It comes first.
Oh yeah.
It has to.
Yeah. I mean, because I bet you someone listening right now knows that their wife goes through a lot when they're in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard if your home life's not right. It's hard to, like, going out west where your only communication isn't in reach for 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like she's going to get a waypoint every hour, like, and then we're going to get a message back and forth 4 times today.
Well, and
that's hard. You have to leave on a good note.
And I'm not saying this should be your reasoning for keeping things right at home. But if things are shaky at home and you go out west, you're not going to be focused on the elk or the mule deer
or
whatever,
your own safety.
Or your own safety.
Yeah.
You're going to be focused on, well, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have left on this bad note. I shouldn't, So that is just a byproduct of making sure that your home structure is taken care of and that everything is tended to there before you start making those plans and going out west and things like that.
Because it's a giant sacrifice for them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%. Leads me to, we'll get into that. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about mental mindset because that's something that is huge to you and something that we haven't really addressed very much on the show before. And so when he brought it on, I'm like, yeah, I knew it was going to be tough for me to bring it up, but this is something that we have to address because it's critical for people's just livelihood. Yeah. I mean, just the way you enjoy yourself every day. But getting into that, so let's switch gears. How long have you been even going, Ben? For a good while. These things go by fast.
Hour and 15.
All right. So
wait, can we switch gears after a coffee potty break?
Yeah.
Are we able to pause? Because I have to.
Because he drank his cold brew and now he has to go.
I've drank 2 of them.
He's gonna go do a bunch of push-ups.
No, we'll get for it.
Yeah. Wait, is that like an actual thing?
Yeah. We can go.
Oh my goodness, dude! I gotta go so bad.
Let's do it.
Hang on. If we're back recording, I want to go on record that everyone used the bathroom after I said I got to use the bathroom.
You were the only one that admitted it.
Yeah.
It's like going to it's like you're on the road trip, and the kids don't want to go to the bathroom. Like, this is your only chance. Dad's going. How many times did your dad tell you that on a road trip?
Oh, dude.
We're stopping at this gas station. If you don't
better
go, you don't have another opportunity for 70 miles. But yeah, it's funny because Jake Paul's going through all the it's Jake, one of the Paul brothers or whatever, who's doing Prime. The Prime.
Yeah, one of them.
Well, Logan.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're going through a whole bunch of stuff right now because they're marketing to kids. I'm like, dude, have you watched Supercross or any type of racing? Like, my son knows we'll be in the drive-through and I'm like, hey, Dad, Monster Energy. I'm like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All the jerseys.
At 3 years old, because it's everywhere, on the helmets, on the logos, on the take-home cups. Like,
well, and my cousins' kids, they drink Prime, but they don't drink the energy drinks. They drink the hydration drinks,
it's like coconut water or whatever.
To an extent, I've looked at the ingredients and I'm like, that's still better than if the kids are drinking Gatorade.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't mess with them.
Yeah. If you break down the ingredients and stuff like that, Prime from a health standpoint, far and above better than Gatorade or Powerade.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I do. They always want a Gatorade. I always do the Gatorade Zero. I actually like the flavor better.
That's fair.
It's not as sweet, but still, it's like.
What were we talking about before I ruined everything?
So we were talking about how you need energy drinks to get up in the morning to go chase whitetails.
We were talking mental toughness.
Yes.
And energy drinks.
And energy drinks, yeah. Caffeinate and dominate. Shout out Schlegs, Papa Schlegs. But no, I wanted to get into just hunting. Let's just get into hunting.
Oh,
and
I love it.
You showed us the slammer.
Ate up with it. Super excited.
Yeah.
I mean, that aspect, I'm way more excited this year than in years past because, like I told you guys, where I hunt, we got decimated with EHD last year. Yeah. I'm talking we found just throughout season and then also shed hunting. I finally got permission to shed hunt our property, the neighbor's property, and the next one over.
Okay.
And between those 4 properties, each one is probably 250, 300 acres. Between those 4 properties, we found 4 bucks dead and I would say probably 5 or 6 doe skeletons. Yep. And I'm someone, especially last year, because I heard how bad it was, I stopped everything and I'm like checking every bone that's showing to see if there's any entry, exit, any chip on a bone, like maybe someone put a bad shot on it or stuff like that.
Sure.
And there was no sign of death on any of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how much is this going to set us back?
Yeah, even there was one I was chasing last year. I had 2 that I was like chasing after, and then all of a sudden one completely lost track of, and then it was a couple weeks later found him.
You found him.
Yeah. I remember you found the head, right?
Yeah.
I found the whole body.
The whole body. Did you end up keeping the? Did you
Yeah,
end
I
up
called it
claiming?
in. Yeah, and then there was like,
Get a carcass tag.
yeah, here's a carcass tag. For
Yeah,
it.
and we had Dr. Tonkovich on, Mike Tonkovich, who kind of is the deer program administrator for the state. We've had him on, 2 times?
I need to listen to that episode.
Yeah, we talked about EHD exclusively because it was a hot button at the time. And matter of fact, I need to reach back out to him because I was talking about an experience that someone had, and he wasn't sure. I think it was whether or not ticks can vector EHD the same way that midges can. So the EHD comes from like a midge or like a little fly, basically.
Yeah.
And then, so he was like, I'm not 100% sure, but I need to double back on that conversation because he was going to find out for me. But we had just had on Tim McDermott from Ohio State about ticks. Super scary about
And how
it.
we all hate them.
Dude,
especially now
that was a creepy conversation.
with this whatever disease that ticks can give you now, where you end up allergic to red meat.
Yeah, it's
from the Lone Star, isn't it?
yeah, it's from the Lone Star tick. It's
That's terrifying.
It's not-
Like as
here's-
hunters, that's what we do.
I'm gonna make it worse for you. You ready? It's not just red meat. It's mammalian muscle.
It's
what that means is if your wife uses lipstick, there's probably animal byproduct in it. She probably doesn't, but
Right.
that's typical, right? You could be allergic to that lipstick.
No way.
No,
So it's anything with animal
didn't know
byproduct
that.
at that
Byproduct,
time.
yes.
Oh,
Bacon.
man.
Pork, bacon.
Any mammal muscle.
Yeah.
And that's why I put permethrin directly on my body. Just kidding. Do not do that. That was a complete joke.
Yeah.
Do not do that.
But that's why and that's after that conversation, I talked to my buyer and I was like, we need to get permethrin because we had picaridin before, which is the topical treatment. I believe you can spray that one on you.
Okay.
Picaridin. But permethrin obviously is treating your clothes, which we had a huge conversation about that. I don't know if we were rolling yet or not, but yeah, it's super important. It's super important with EHD. Obviously, CWD is an issue. EHD, I need to go back on that conversation. I feel like it's one of those things like EHD is everywhere. It's this isn't a new disease. It's been around for a while.
It kind of comes in waves,
it's gonna have
though.
a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to go back to make sure that's what he said. But yeah, it kind of comes in a wave. We're gonna see. Obviously, we'll have some. We're gonna have some issues with it. But I think the other thing that he mentioned too is that animals that survive it, I believe, they can pass on the immunity. Don't quote me on that. I would highly recommend going back and listen to that episode of Mike Tonkovich.
I hope so.
But I believe that
I'm
was
just going
what
to
he
take your
said.
word for it.
I believe that's what he said. I'm about 90% sure that's what he
Yeah.
said.
I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah. But no, so we're going to get into your hunting season. So you're hunting in an area, obviously Southern Ohio area, probably knowing just how strong EHC hit. We don't get into specifics, but how has that gone down there? What kind of history do you have with that property? I know you had a really cool story with your brother.
Yeah. So super, super blessed to be able to hunt the property that I hunt. If you're listening, I mentioned earlier that family has a construction business.
Yeah.
Grandfather is salt of the earth, did it by his bootstraps, owned this company for 43 years. And through that, I worked for him for 9 or 10 years. And through that, made these just great relationship with all these old farmers and, older generation that doesn't let anybody else hunt.
Yeah.
So very fortunate to hunt where we hunt. It's been quote unquote a family property since the beginning. They've got a spot behind their house and a farm up the ways a little bit. The farm is where I actually shot. That's a cool story for a different time, but the farm is where I shot my second buck, and it was the day that the old man passed away. All I wanted to do was show him a deer that I was able to take from his property and thank him and all of that. And I'm driving home to grab my gear and go hunt, and I get a call that he had passed away. Well, I had a great relationship with his son who now lives there. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Just gutted, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, you know what? I'm going out. And sure enough, I went out and it's, the sun's setting and I'm just sitting there thinking about him. And out of nowhere, this giant flock of of birds behind me spooks up and actually spooked a buck out, and it ran 17 yards in front of me and stopped. And I'm like, he was there.
Yeah.
He was there for sure. So of course I end up making a great shot or a great shot on the deer and just break down.
Yeah, I bet.
But
I bet.
that was my first buck on that property. Fast forward now, I mean, once again, very, very blessed with where we hunt and stuff like that. My biggest deer ever I've taken off this property, he scored. We named him Ghost because he would always be on camera leading into season. Beautiful velvet, monster rack. The year I shot him, he ended up scoring. I had it officially done not too long ago. It was like 179 and some change. But he would always show up preseason, eating up all the mineral, eating up all the corn, and then he was gone.
Yep.
And it was like November, and sun setting. We've got this little peak here, river bottom down below, and all of a sudden there's a deer walking up, and I'm looking through my binoculars, can't really tell what it is, but I just know it's big.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, Ghost isn't coming back. I mean, we had 3 years of history with that deer, and I'm like, he's not coming back. I'm going to take this deer if he gives me a shot. So he comes in, and like I said, we've got this little peak or this little corner on a hillside, and sure enough, he walks in, bounds out and around, like mature deer do, being very cautious, very, not slipping up and stuff like that. And he presented me with I think it was like a 42-yard shot, and I shoot him, and he goes down and call my cousin in, the one that got me into hunting. I always make a point to call him. I'm like, hey, I don't know what I shot. I know it's big. Can you come help me track it? Snow on the ground, set aside CRP grass. You couldn't have drawn it up any better. And we get up to it, and it still hasn't hit me. And I'm like holding him up, and my cousin's looking at him, and we had a trail cam photo that we just like keyed in on, and it showed him perfectly. It was kind of angled a little bit, and it showed all his kickers and stuff like that. He had six points before getting off his brows. So he had the standard brows, both split, and then he had like a unicorn brow tine that split.
That's
and
bunch of character.
Yeah, tons of character, and still hasn't hit me. And my cousin's like, dude, do you realize what you shot? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, turn him towards you. So I grab the ends of the main beams and I go like this and get right to what was that trail cam
picture.
Photo frame. And I was like, oh, and just freaked out.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Kid in a candy store.
And, and then my brother, like you were saying, he had a wild story too. He's been hunting for 6 years, and he's shot a couple of does but hasn't been able to connect on a buck, and it was gun season, and he hunted that morning, got down, went and helped his buddy track a buck that he shot, and his buddy was like, dude, why don't you take mine and go back out and just go sit. He's like, all right. And so he does, and he's texting me that because we had a up by where I shot Ghost a couple years prior. He was texting me. He's like, dude, there's a buck up there.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you got a gun. Sneak up to it.
Yeah.
He was like, I was half joking.
Yeah.
He was like, okay. Sure enough,
Like,
he was sitting on the river bottom and started making his way through like a tire lane through this CRP. He's like working his way up to it, and he was working his way up to this buck, and he's working his way, and the buck that he ended up shooting slid in behind him and blew. He said he froze. He kind of turned around and saw him.
Yeah.
And centered up his gun on him and was able to shoot him. And I was like, dude,
it works out.
Yeah, couldn't have drawn it up any better. And the cool thing about it was that buck that he shot, he ended up getting it Euro mounted, but he had the pelt tanned because his chest was black.
Oh.
Really cool.
That's
really
sweet.
cool. It was. I'll show you guys
is
after,
cool.
but it was, the standard brown coat, still had some white patch, still had a white belly, but the
wow.
chest itself
That's sweet.
was black.
That's cool.
And
you don't see that.
That was almost as good as actually no, that was better than me shooting a buck myself because our grandfather that owns the construction company is getting up there in age. It just we all know it. It's one of those things. It's a part of life, and all I wanted was for my brother to be able to show him like, hey, I shot my first buck.
Oh, heck
and so,
man.
of course, we do all our own processing at my uncle's garage, and so I'm just snapping photos, videos, photos. Had Grandpa come out, and we're taking, and there's one photo that I absolutely love, and Grandpa's standing there with my brother, and my brother's got the head, and we've already got it caped out, so you could see that black really good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's everything I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what we
So-
do it for.
Yeah,
That's
for
awesome.
sure, man.
Oh,
For
100%.
sure.
Those memories will last a lifetime for sure. So looking into that, like what do you have? I mean, you're pretty excited this year. You're going back down. What's
Obviously, this year looks a little different with having a newborn at home. So there's going to be a lot more, honey, do you mind if I go sneak away for a little bit? But admittedly, dude, I'm way behind. We've got a couple of cameras out. And I know it's a hot button topic, but we've got a couple of cell cams out.
we're all firm believers of cell cams, so don't worry about it.
Listen, to each their own. I understand the argument if it's, someone that has 15 cameras on one water hole. That's, come on. But the average Joe that has a family that can't get away to check cameras every single time, cell cams are a great tool.
Oh, dude.
Great tool.
Yep.
But anyway, so far we've got 2 mineral spots out on the property, and we've got cell cams on those mineral spots just to kind of take inventory, see what's out there and stuff like that. No stands hung on the property. I do a lot of mobile hunting, and my brother is getting into it as well. So I think we're actually, with the limited time, we're going to not put as many stands. I think we're only going to hang maybe 2 stands on the property, and then we'll just go mobile the rest of the time. But the thing I'm excited for, and I don't know if you guys have talked about this yet, the thing I'm excited for is we've got a spot, and we're going to try out the horizontal rub post this year. Whether
I haven't
it's
talked about it yet. No.
whether
We have
it's,
not.
I mean, it's a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I mean, I've seen people.
Yeah.
I've seen the videos. They're starting to pop up here within probably the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
That in last year, I think it
Yeah.
with hunting public,
yeah.
it kind of became on the radar.
Oh, sure.
Well, and do you guys know the backstory behind that? Like why all of a sudden it?
No, I don't.
So, don't quote. You can quote me on this. I'm 99%
Everything's quoted.
certain.
We're recording.
I believe
It's written in history.
I believe it's Tim Wells
Okay.
is the guy's name, and the story goes that he was photographing elk, and in doing so, he noticed these elk kept coming up and rubbing on this downfall. Or on this deadfall.
Yeah.
And it was always these horizontal rubs, and they're just raking back and forth. And apparently he just got a wild hair and said,
try it.
I wonder if this will work with whitetails. And he put that into work back home, and he said, you do the 2 posts, and apparently there's a specific tree that works well, and it's called a Scotch pine.
Yeah.
Now I'm not a tree guy, but apparently because of the fact that it's fragrant, being a pine tree, and it's a little softer, the deer really like it, and so he kind of ties it up and leaves some slack to it so the deer can really press on it. And so we're gonna try it out, and I know there's multiple videos of Tim Wells getting on camera, him shooting a buck that was either on one or coming to one or something like that. So, I mean, we're going to give it a go. There's a really good spot down by the river that I think is going to be key because a lot of those bucks will run that there. And we'll hang our cell cam there and take inventory and see if they do actually come up and hit that. But I'm excited because it's a new thing that we haven't tried yet.
Yeah, you never know if it's going to work until you try it.
I don't spend much time building sites in that manner.
Yeah.
I don't I usually am hunting like public land. So it's, if I've gone to the same spot 3 times or twice, it's like, it's time to move. Like you got to just keep chasing sign.
Yeah.
And so it's very intriguing to me. I'm like, man, it would be great just to get like repeated videos and pictures, intel of that. Like that's very intriguing to me. And it's something I've not even thought about.
Well, and honestly, I've kind of been itching. I don't know how much we want to get into it, but I've kind of been itching to bring this up somewhere because I'm a firm believer, right? You've got your public land popularity. You've got your suburban popularity. I've got friends on both sides of it. You've got people that are trying to grow deer. And for some reason, we as hunters are always butting heads with each other and my way's better, no, my way's better, whatever. And I feel if we could quantify effort, it would shut up a lot of people. Because I've got friends that put in 300 to 500 miles, to 500 miles on public in preseason. And I've got friends that personally go up and physically knock on doors, 200 doors before they get a yes.
Yeah.
And everyone's always back and forth as to what's better.
Who's working harder.
If you could quantify effort and say, okay, Johnny who suburban hunts, his effort is at a 8.2 out of 10, and he does this. And Jimmy, who public land hunts, his effort is at a 9.3 out of 10. Well, then it'd be super easy, and it would shut up the whole conversation as to who's working harder.
And I don't do it. Yeah, that's not a that debate is that would be the perfect way to settle it. And I've never even understood the debate. It's just however you want to hunt. Just hunt that way.
And
because everybody you're referring to Jake Bush.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's not a person that spends more time in the woods than Jake Bush, period. But how am I going to say this? Everyone, public land hunt, Waddell said this before too, I think. I would love to have 1,000-acre Jimmy John's apartment style, but that's just not in the cards for me. So you got to make do with what you have.
Yeah.
You work with what you have.
But and you hear Levi says this a lot too. He's like, what does it matter where you shoot it? Like, I've earned the opportunity to have this 1,000-acre property in PA or Iowa or Kansas.
As long as it is legal and ethical.
Yeah,
absolutely. And let's support each other.
Well, and that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. If we really want to get on buzzer topics, we are being attacked at every single corner from those that don't hunt, from those that are making laws and rules and regulations.
Absolutely.
Everyone is trying to take away or minimize hunting or restrict it in some manner. Why? Can I cuss on here?
I don't care.
Why in the hell are we fighting amongst each other?
Yeah.
And cutting each other down.
Yeah.
When all of us want the same thing. We want to be able to go hunt in peace. Leave me alone. I'm going to go hunt my way. Once again, as long as it's legal and ethical, who gives a shit?
Yeah. 100%.
I try to take a doe every year. And it's on top of a buck. But if you post the doe picture and they're like, it's just a doe.
Johnny from Instagram, why on earth would you shoot a doe at this time? Well, okay, then I'm
wrong
not.
Time of year.
Yeah.
There's part of me that says it's like an old doe is just as hard to shoot as a big buck.
I got one that's blown us out for 2 years. Yeah, she's catching a broadhead as soon as I see her this year.
The old doe is just as hard. So it's who cares? Like, just do what makes you happy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's just not harass each other.
Yeah.
We're on the same team.
No doubt.
You've
got entire organizations dedicated to stopping hunting, and we want to complain because
you shot a 110 instead of a 160.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Or a doe in November.
Oh, it gets me all.
It's like, why would you shoot a doe in November? And you're like,
because I want to feed my family.
wanted to.
Especially nowadays, like having my son.
Yeah.
Dude, whole new. You've got a family of 4.
Yeah,
You got to put food on the table.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I'll say this too. I think sometimes people go over the top on that too, because like there is such a thing as a grocery store, but some people that's how they live their life, and that's totally fine.
Yep.
So I'm not here to say I'm going to survive if I don't have deer meat in the freezer.
Yeah, fair point.
I enjoy the meat. I enjoy the jerky. I enjoy eating it. I enjoy having my family eat something that I provided. I do.
Yep.
I really do. But it's not going to make or break me. Selfishly, I'm there.
As a sport.
It's a sport. It's a trophy. However you want to categorize it, whether it's horned or meal, it's a trophy. But yeah, man, it's I experienced it a little bit. So he joked. I was on that anything brown is down.
Yeah.
Like standard typical. Because I was in a rut this year. I missed 2 deer. I missed a deer in the rut the year prior. I missed one the weekend before I shot the one that I shot. And it was, if it's a doe, it's down. If it's a buck, awesome. I mean, I still haven't taken a buck yet. Well, technically, I took last year ended up being a button buck. I thought it was a doe.
Yes.
But you still have to execute the shot.
Mm-hmm.
That was still shooting my first deer out of my saddle. That was still shooting the first deer with that particular bow, that particular broadhead, that distance.
Yeah.
Bunch of firsts.
There's a bunch of firsts there that will carry over to any other hunt I do in the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
and how much? And those 2 that you missed. How much did you learn?
Yeah, 100%.
And to your point, and I guess this will be a shameless plug. I don't know if you guys have had the chance yet, but I just recently joined the YouTube crew, and I posted a hunting film on there.
Yeah.
You know, Nebraska on the run, and I took a Velvet Basket Rack 8.
Yeah. I heard that story, yeah.
To your, you're talking about a bunch of firsts in the film. I'm like, first out of state hunt, first time hunting out of a saddle, and I couldn't be happier about it.
I was stoked.
I was stoked. And as long as you're stoked about it, who cares?
Dude, exactly. I mean, and that's what Ethan and Noah are good friends of ours. They run like a hunting YouTube group, if you will, I guess.
Okay.
And but they took me out. Knew I had a bad experience. Knew that I was kind of in this rut. And he's like, dude, if you can shoot these little ones, you can shoot the big ones. Mm-hmm. It's just you gotta focus in on hitting your spot. It was, double long heart punch, 24 yards from where I shot it, where the arrow was to where he was laying, 24 yards.
Smoked him.
I'm like, dude, what?
And it was a smaller target than the ones that you missed. And it's like, so what's the difference?
Yeah,
It's in your head.
Yeah. Exactly. I got my I think the box in the freezer is like people listening. It's probably maybe 2 feet. It's like a little box. Casey's like, my wife's like, really? That's it? I'm like, yeah, that's it. Sorry.
You're like, it's a start.
I was like, it won't freeze or burn. There we go. We'll eat it.
We'll get through it quick.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. So yeah, everyone's got their own way, and I think that's one thing that we've really tried to establish here. I mean, Chopsticks over here. Mm-hmm. He told me that I give him shit, but he shot his first deer, period.
Yeah,
not just buck, just deer. Dude, hell yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't be happier.
We don't care. And then, you got this guy shooting the deer that you shot in public land, which is awesome. Like you had your own experience and your own hunting story. You have Taylor that's out there, he's grooming property. He's putting the miles in. He's putting the camera work out. He's doing the corn. He's got the minerals. Like everything is dialed for him. He deserves to shoot that 180.
Yeah.
Because he's put the work in to shoot that 180. Like,
it's not, his effort on his leases is just as much as mine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, mine has miles, or I'm chasing current fresh sign.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just reading the situations differently.
He knows how to read a property, though.
He knows how to read a property.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could step on the property, and you're like, I would play it this way. This is your best case scenario. Do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
he's just
great.
not hiking 3 miles.
Yeah, he just doesn't hike like I do.
Right.
But nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's we all read sign differently and take advantage of that in the best way that's going to work for us.
Well, and that's like, I work with the Mobile Hunter Roadshow and those guys and stuff like that too, and that's always my biggest take when we get on subjects like this. There's no one way to do things.
No.
People have been hunting for hundreds of years.
Yep.
My buddies in Michigan don't hunt the same way as my buddies in Pennsylvania.
No.
My buddies here don't hunt the same way as my buddies in Iowa. And you gotta, there's there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. There's 1,000 ways to hunt a deer.
Oh, 100%.
And so, yeah, it just, hunt your way, hunt the way that you want to, make sure it's ethical and legal, and have a good time doing it, dude.
And you'll refine that. You'll find your system, you'll find your process, and it starts accelerating once you've found your process.
Yeah.
Once you've found when I do it this way, I see results.
Yeah.
And then you start doing it that way, and then you're like, okay, well, how do I refine that a little bit more, or what are the offshoots of that? And then it's like, this one didn't work. Oh, this one is working. I'm finding more sign now, and then it's just but you actually need to take note of that. I think a lot of times people don't journal their story or their situation.
Yeah.
If something will happen and they move on, they're like, well, why didn't you see a deer tonight?
Yeah.
Like you should have.
And that's a really good point. That's something I'm trying to get better at for the upcoming year.
Yeah.
Is I'll make notes in my phone, or I'll make mental notes or whatever, and then I go back out to the property and I'm like, wait, what was the wind doing? Which way was how full was the moon? Was it a red moon?
Yeah.
Was it not? And now all of a sudden I'm trying to do recall, which we all know how memory works.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. So I've got a little notebook this year, and I'm going to keep it in the front of my pack so that way, when I get into stand, I'm going to journal how that went. When I'm done with the day, I'm going to try to force myself, if I don't shoot something, when I get back to the truck, get everything put away, stop, before I even leave, journal what I saw that evening.
Well, I had come up on a bachelor group of bucks this week, and I was like, oh, I just want to get a picture. Yeah. And then I ended up actually almost making a short video of it to remind myself and work through the process of it.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to get the picture, was my initial thought.
Right.
And then so it's like, okay, I get parked, I got to run over here, da-da-da-da. Well, it's like you can't, and they're in an open field. It's like, well, how do I approach it? Yeah. So I realized in getting the picture, you're still hunting the deer.
You're still hunting, yep.
And I got within 60 yards for this picture, all of the deer facing the other way. It was just coming in from behind, playing the wind, getting in correctly, not on their eye side, but their, in the all intents and purposes, their strong side, because that was the side they thought was least likely.
They were safest
to have anything come in on them.
Yeah.
They had the wind in their favor, and they had cover in that direction.
Well, that ties in perfectly to one of the things that I learned from Jake Bush, which was, scouting preseason, even leading up to August, late August-ish. If you've scouted this area, right, and you're pretty certain that the deer is here, right, work your way in as if you're hunting. Imagine setting up in a tree, and then walk over there. And one of three things is going to happen. You're going to bust him out, which it's the middle of summer. He's going to come back there anyways. Yeah. He's not going to be there. He's going to be in a secondary bed, but you're going to find his bed with fresh hair in it, which is a clear sign like you were right.
You were right.
Or he's not going to be there, and that you need to move elsewhere because what you thought was not actually where he's at. So, using that preseason as a hunting situation is huge.
Yeah, it was, their ears were cocked back. They were listening and smelling their strong side.
Right.
And they were on their weak side. They were using their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was just once I got the picture,
that was my question was, did you get the picture?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was a great picture. And it was just cool to see how it worked out. And it was great. But it was only after the fact where I was like,
oh, wait a second.
Oh, yeah. And they're all looking the opposite way.
Oh, yeah. They had no clue.
No clue. And it was just...
You could have just smoked him.
Yeah. And it was just... But using that as a learning tool.
Yeah.
I honestly wasn't using it as a learning tool from the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
It was just after the fact.
I want to take a cool picture.
I want a cool picture. And then it was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It worked. No, that's awesome, man.
Well, sweet. It's been a long one. I'm ready for lunch.
Yeah.
I'm fat guy.
I appreciate you guys having me out, man. I feel like we had a killer conversation.
Oh, dude,
We appreciate
100%.
you
I knew
showing
that
up.
we were going to. Before we let you go,
Yeah.
you're obviously on social.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so
especially like the Nebraska video and stuff like that. Like let's
so
lay that on the table.
I'm most active on Instagram, and it's at @the_coffee Viking.
Yep.
For clear reasons. YouTube is, I believe it's like the Coffee Viking 3003. I tried to do Coffee Viking. That one was
and
taken.
we'll find
so
it. Yeah, you can find it from there.
Yeah,
Search will take you
It's a
there.
picture of me. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Be hard to miss.
Yeah, blonde hair, blonde beard, all that good stuff. And I always like to, anytime I chat with an audience, I always like to say, if any piece of what we talked about was valuable,
Yeah.
find me on Instagram, shoot me a DM.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there's anything I can help with, I'm not a professional in anything, but I love helping people. And if there's anything I can help with, shoot me a DM. Would love to chat. But yeah, and you know, I'm gonna do a plug for my coffee company.
Get your plug.
Jennings Java Coffee Roasters. We do ship all over the country. Everything from single origin to blends to what have you.
You said there's something. You had one that was like Fruity Pebble Fruit Loop thing or something one time.
So our Sumatra Trogan is a winey processed coffee, so it tastes basically like raspberry Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
Your raspberry
Yeah.
Jolly Rancher.
We don't add any flavoring to our coffee.
That's
we let the
wild.
coffee speak for itself. Absolutely killer coffee. But if you're looking for a hunting coffee, Golden's Espresso, named after the professor that helped us get started. That's what's in my pack every single time.
Love it.
But yeah, guys, that's the rundown. That's
story,
me.
And I heard that professor story too, man. It just makes it so much better that you're a magenta boy.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. It's such a small world.
Yeah.
And as always, we'll have all these links down in the show notes below. Link to this video on YouTube. You can see why we call him a Viking. He clearly has some Norwegian
Blood in him.
blood in him.
Some Scandinavia.
Some Scandinavian
That's
blood.
right.
Awesome, bro. I couldn't appreciate. Thank
Appreciate
you so much
you
for
guys,
coming.
dude. Yeah.
And yeah, we'll look forward to catching you guys on the next one. All right, everyone, that is all we have for you today. We really hope you enjoyed that conversation with AJ. I know I did. As I mentioned in the beginning of the show, I knew that we were going to have a great time with him, and I really look forward to continuing our friendship. And like AJ mentioned, if this conversation has helped you in any way, please let us know. All of our contact information is in the show notes, or you can reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, email, whatever. We absolutely love seeing the success of our listeners and customers, and let's face it, without you, we wouldn't be here. As always, we appreciate you all listening, and until next time, enjoy the pursuit.